Welcome back to another episode of Herbscapes, guys. This is a 2-month update video for our 4-gallon Phoenix Reservoir tank. As you can see here, this thing has really taken off. The growth in this tank has been remarkable. The life in this tank has never looked better. The Phoenix Reservoirs are hiding a little bit right now. I'll definitely put some good shots of them in there. They're a little bit spooked with me coming in here and being so close to the tank and whatnot, but the snail population has definitely died back a little bit. We definitely had a bit of a snail apocalypse. As you can see, there's a couple of them moving around here. Definitely more than maybe the average person would like in their tank, but I actually really like the snails. I think that they actually really help to balance the ecosystem a little bit better by really kind of churning up the soil and that substrate and really sifting through everything, getting any little bits of extra food and whatnot, and really breaking it down as fertilizer for the plants. We've done really well as far as our growth. We have an entire colony of cherry shrimp that are now growing in here. I put 5 of them in here originally, and we have a couple dozen in here now, so I'll definitely include some close-up shots of those as well. But yeah, I mean, we've done better than I was really ever hoping to. The dwarf sage grew in so beautifully. I did end up adding some broadleaf bulbitis, I think that's the name, in a little bit later. The bucephalandra has done amazing. The African bulbitis right there in the middle, as you can see, has done really well. All of the Amazon swords, the echinodorses that we put in there have done really well. There have been some challenges along the way. I don't want to make it seem like there hasn't been any kind of problems to solve. We definitely have lost some creatures along the way over the course of the 2 months that this tank has been running. We've lost some fish, we've lost some shrimps. You know, you can't always win. You can't always get what you want. So that's just a lesson in that, you know, you're gonna have challenges when you're doing something like this, but don't get discouraged, you know, just let it play out. You know, stick to the basics of what you know as far as aquascaping goes, that the water quality is the #1 thing. There are some smaller issues that you can solve with additives or chemicals and whatever, but I will say nothing beats a good water change. Nothing beats a good, you know, clean of the filter. Nothing beats a little bit of surface aeration, as you see here. I know that people don't like that tube in there, but I think that it just adds something to a smaller tank to aerate the top of that water, really get a good gas exchange going on. The plants are producing oxygen, but I think really just to hedge your bets on that one and make sure that all the creatures have enough oxygen for everything that they're doing and for their survival and stuff, I think is really just goes without saying is necessary. I also think that it helps to reduce any kind of weird surface oiliness, you know, whatever. So yeah, I think that we can definitely call this a 2-month success. It's one of my favorites that I think I've done. We never really ever experienced any problems with this tank as well. I think it was a combination of capping the soil that kind of locked a lot of that initial ammonia burst that you're gonna get from the aqua soil and other things down. So we locked all of that into the soil. I think that was maybe a part of it. It also makes planting a lot easier too. So if you cap your soil with like a loose gravel or like a rough sand or something like that, it does make it a lot easier to plant into as well. With this particular tank, I think the size of it made it a bit of a challenge because it is only 4 gallons. It's a smaller aquarium, a nano scape. But at the same time, I never had any of the big swings that are associated with the smaller tank. The one next to it is a 2.5 gallon. That was a part of our last Rescape video. If you guys haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out now. But we are kind of in the middle of a bit of an algae outbreak with this tank because I didn't cap the soil over. So it's a little bit rough right now. It's a bit more of a challenge, I would say, to have just the bare aqua soil out into the water because it does take a little bit more patience. And because we did a fish in cycle, I think it was a little bit harder to kind of manage. This one, on the other hand, we never had those same problems. It was ready to go in 2 weeks exactly to the day to put the fish in. It never gave me any issues past that at all. I never had any problems with algae. I never had any problems with fish dying off because of water conditions. All the fish and the critters that we lost because of this tank all jumped out, and I think that that was really just my error of shocking them with the light, or bumping the shelf or something like that. So I think all in all, this tank is a resounding success, especially from if you saw the initial phase of the tank. If you saw where it was and then how far it's come, I think that you'd be really, really surprised and really happy with it, as I am. There's no CO2 in this tank. There never was any CO2 in this tank. So I don't know if you can call it low tech. There is a small hang-on back filter that I have on the side here, kind of hidden up with this philodendron here. It barely works. I mean, I shouldn't say it barely works. It works really, really, really well. That being said, I don't really know how much filtration, like actual mechanical filtration, that it's really doing. It's definitely not like powering that water through. It has a light. I've always been a little bit fuzzy myself on what the definition of a low-tech aquarium is, but I mean, I would consider this low-tech. I don't really do much to it. I mean, I barely even do water changes anymore, to be honest with you. The conditions stay really stable. I test once a week. I would say that this is low-tech. Oftentimes I find myself coming in here and staring at this aquarium because I like it that much. There's so much to see, and yet so much is obstructed because of the growth, the advanced growth of the plants themselves. I really enjoy setting up a tank that I know is ecologically healthy environment to house any of these creatures. There's always something going on in this tank. There's always something to be seen, always something to be looked at. It's one of the passions of my life to observe that. The very first real aquarium I ever saw was a saltwater aquarium in a hospital that my mom was at when I was a kid. And just to watch the little hermit crabs and to watch the gobies, there was always something going on. The way that, the polyp, I don't know anything about saltwater, but the little polyp corals would come out and come in, and just to watch the life happen, it enthralled me as a child. I absolutely loved it. Going to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, seeing the life and seeing something that was so much different than myself and my experience of life. And to be able to bring that into my home, I've been in love with it since I can remember. It's the most peaceful feeling in the world. It brings a lot of clarity to my life, and I hope it brings a little bit of clarity to yours too. Once again, guys, thanks for tuning into Herbscapes. I'm your host, Herb. Anybody who liked, anybody who subscribed in any of the previous videos, anybody who commented, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it to the bottom of my heart. Everything that you guys do by watching and liking and clicking and subscribing makes a huge difference for me here. If you guys want to see me finally finish building out this fish room, getting a couple more tanks on this fish shelf here, we're going to be doing some interesting projects. We're going to be doing some different projects. We're going to be doing some really, really, really neat stuff. So tune in for more, guys. Don't miss a video. Please hit that subscribe button. I love you guys, and I'll see you again soon.